cannot measure morals by the rod, or the consequence of disobedience to God. From dust thou art, to dust thou will return, may also be said of the lowly worm. But when God breathed into man the breath of life, a soul was born with hope for paradise. It matters not from whence our body came, grant unto earth that to which it has a claim, and unto God the soul he freely gave, cleansed of the dust of the earthly grave. That's one of my yeah. Three of them all here at once. No, I don't know which one it is. Oh, I think that one. I think we can get it out in there. I'm a wood butcher. Well, that means that you're a rough carpenter, that you can work on logs and rocks and so forth, and you can't work on bricks and lumber and do a good job. I was building these cabins when I was 15 years old back in Minnesota. That's the only kind of cabins they had. When the homesteaders had come in to take up a homestead, why, the neighbors would all go over there and build them a cabin. Within a week, they'd have some place to live in. I did have one brother up in Seattle and decided to come back out here. And there was the lumber company grabbing all this timberland up here. And of course, that interested me because I was interested in timber by working with it back there in Minnesota. So I came down here from Seattle and took a homestead in 1907. It cost $1.25 an acre, which was $200 for 160 acres. Then I got the contract building these here houses when I didn't have anything else to do. They were cheaper. When they get a log cabin for a couple $100, you know, it was cheaper than sod stuff even at any time. I got $300 to build this cabin. Stay on the end. Gusty and Taylor. Well, they wanted, of course they wanted a job, I suppose the main thing. And then they did want to learn to build a log cabin. And both of them was interested in building a log cabin. And I said the best way to learn is to come over and go to work at it. I said, and that's the best way. In my 35 or 40 cabins that I built, I've had probably a new man every time I try. Every time I build a cabin, I have somebody new, you know. But it's just a matter of being able to handle an axe. It took them some time to get used to using an axe. They never used an axe, you see, before in their lives. And it takes time for them to break in. And about the time we got through, why, they were broke in pretty well, you see. Taylor, you know, he was handy, you know, and he was intelligent. And the little gal was, too. suppose I got to do it. Advisory committee, they call it. I have no business to be on it. Really. One man from the Spanish-American War. I guess it's just a publicity proposition. I enlisted in Chicago, and we went out to the Orient, China, Japan, the Philippines, and we was a flagship on the Pacific Fleet at that time. The old Oregon was out there, and I came home on the Oregon, the battleship Oregon.
How do you do? We'll get them all straightened out here. He represents the Purple Heart, and he represents World War I veterans, and he represents the VFW. You represent the DAV, and you represent the Spanish-American War veterans, okay?
There's only 4 of us left in the state now.
That's all you do.
It's just for to take care of this money to loan to veterans, young people. Oh, it don't have to be young people. They're a very good committee.
How old are you? 93.
There's a lot of serious things in life that aggravates you and gets you off. But if you have a little sense of humor, you can take it. And otherwise, without a sense of humor, you're in tough propositions in here that I can see. And I think that's one of the main things. You can't take everything too serious. The TV boys, they came from Baker, and they came over here about 10 o'clock or 11 one day. And wanted to take some pictures. And I said, go ahead, take your pictures. I didn't know who they were at the time. And they wanted to know we could go out in the woods and do a little work out there and one thing. And so we went out in the woods and split some posts out for them and cut them up. But I think the whole thing was the fact that you're 90-some years old, you're building a log cabin. Well, I don't see anything unusual about that, you know. Excepting everybody don't live that long, but gosh, I had 3 brothers that was older than me. Quite often we make heroes out of people that have no particular reason to be. Now, my health and one thing and another, I attribute to my parents. I don't expect any reward for what I did. I didn't do anything about my health. In fact, the matter is, I think I was a little bit just the opposite, because I am rather obstinate, and I guess I hate to be forced into anything, you know. Not that nice. You don't have to have much intelligence to build a cabin after you see how it's done, you know, and do a few logs. Then it's just work. Strong in the back, weak in the head proposition. And of course, I'm not like I used to be about 40 years ago or 50. Which was, I was quite active at that particular period, but now, you know, you can't lift so much or anything. I've been taking pills and one thing and another for some time. They're supposed to have too dang many white corpuscles and so forth in your blood. And I was supposed to be ready to die here some years ago. And if I got all excited about it, I probably would have. Well, I sensed that they were reliable people. They were honest, and they were people that you could rely on in regard to what they were capable of doing. You can't judge people the first day or two that you're with them. You have to take time before you really find out what they are and what their beliefs is and how they arrive at these beliefs and all that kind of thing. I thought they were married for several months. I didn't know. Of course, you got to accept what it is. It isn't a question of what you think. You have to accept a lot of things, whether you like it or not. When Gussie said that they were going to get married, I said, now you're talking my language. I said, now I can deal with you.
This becomes a Thanksgiving moment, our Father. One of blessedness and one of richness. With the feeling of privilege upon us as friends and loved ones as we stand with these two as they come in the moment of their commitment. Make a blessing here by this presence. May thy grace attain and the comfort of thy peace be upon them. You promise to love and honor and cherish and leaving all others cleave only unto him. And do you have rings by which you wish to have these vows sealed? You promise to pledge yourselves one to another. I now therefore pronounce you husband and wife. You've got a wife, you better listen.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bob,
Yeah.
I think you helped it a lot.
Well, I hope I did.
Yep.
This is the third one.
Got married.
Yeah. They use that house where they celebrate the last Youth looks for things they can explore. They seek the truth through nature's lore. Created things are plain to see, but the how and why is a mystery. Knowledge is a search for facts, a worthy cause, but often lacks a broader base from which to start may be found within our heart.
You guys have been camping all weekend. This 4th of July experience we have every year always seems to give us the chance to tell a few stories we've never gotten around to the rest of the year. Like the Spanish-American war veteran who is leaving a legacy of log cabins in Central Oregon. Ray Summers reports from Camp Sherman.
If you're going to do something right these days, you've got to do it yourself. After seeing Luther Metke work, we decided he's probably right. Luther Metke is a builder of log cabins. The newest log cabin, numbered somewhere in the 40s or 50s, is different. For one thing, it's got 8 sides.
It was principally, as I say, for to get light in that center pot. You see, I'll put trusses across from that post over there, that far one over to that one, and the same way on the other end. These things, if you keep it working, you don't have time to worry about it. If you lay around, why, I suppose the physical proposition is just the same as the mental. If you exercise a little bit, well, it's easier you don't get sore and stove up.
We doubt Luther Metke will ever be stove up or stove under or any other way. He'll just keep on building these log cabins of his and trying to ignore those pre-cut log cabins of modern industry.
Well, it looks like a manufactured thing, and I like the log cabin made out of logs. Natural.
Natural. The one thing you can say about log cabin building Luther Metke, he's natural. As natural as the material he uses. Ray Summers at large at Camp Sherman, Oregon.
I won't be able to go over to his place.
That guy won't let you over there now.
Then I went out to China and going up the Yangtze River. And the old Chinaman told me that these barren hills at one time was full of timber. They had they had cut all the timber off, and you couldn't even see a sign of a stump then. It was just virgin soil. There wasn't even grass growing on it. Of course, that reminded me of the fact that there was a possibility that we may run out of timber. We thought we had enough to last us forever, you know. And we did have, if we take care of it. But we haven't taken care of it. They haven't done enough for the amount of men that's here, you see. What I have in mind, when they had a dozen men, they did just as much as they do now with 500. It becomes, I think after a period of time, it becomes a kind of a bureaucracy, and their principal object is taking care of their job. I had the radical ideas that by organizing the working man, that he would be able to do something about these things. Well, when the working man gets in power, he does the same thing. He's looking after himself, and that's all. He's just like the employer. So it isn't a question of who's in power, it's what they do when they get there. And therefore, I don't care who owns the timber or anything of that kind, as long as they'll take care of it. Nothing comes from nothing. Everything from thought. Not always what is wanted or what we really sought. With man, it's trial and error, although many to consult. With God, who has the answers, already knows the result. So it's just an idea that thought is the thing that creates everything. And I actually believe that there's a superior intellect that created everything. I'm living here alone because I'm independent when I'm alone. I'm independent as far as any of my kids is concerned. They all invite me to stay in one thing or another, and I probably will when I get helpless. But as long as I'm able to be around and do a little something and keep fairly healthy, I don't see any object. I've got to the point where I can live with myself, in other words. There was a time when it's pretty hard when you hated yourself, you know, and you couldn't live with yourself. But then, of course, it's tough on you. But if you get to the point where you can live with yourself, it's not too hard. She's coming now. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll have to go out here. Now, put on your biggest smile.
You're kidding me.
Well,
How are things going?
hi.
Finally made it. Good. How are things going? That was a long old drive.
Next time you take this with you along with you. This is my daughter, John, Mrs. Dodd, and this is my granddaughter, Mrs. Montgomery. And this is her boy, Travis. Usually he don't count, but then...
That's John, that's Vicki, and I'm May.
Yeah, we're trying to build a house for it. I don't know whether they'll ever get it done.
I was going to say, if you ever get it done.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They're going to retire.
Oh, yeah, it will.
He'll be 94 next month.
Next month. Yeah.
20th the next month.
94 years
Old
young.
George Washington and I, we were all us for
He's almost as old as George Washington.
Well, I used to be older. I used to be 2 days ahead of him, but now he's caught up with me and he got ahead.
Yeah, we picked up your mail.
You got a lot of money?
Yeah, I've got lots of money.
Well, that's what we need.
Better get another quart anyway.
I get you 2 quarts?
Well, unless you're going to use it, because I won't. One of them should be large.
Oh, I could take that thing.
You know those pictures? That old picture, look at this is
Yeah.
Pat and this is me.
He was a baby.
I had this enlarged from a little picture he had.
That's my handsome father.
My brother-in-law and I, we used to work together building bridges. We built practically every bridge between Bend and way up near Crescent. I built that upper bridge there at Bend and the footbridge, and then of course for the Forest Service I built lots of bridges for them. Bob, because we used to work together a lot. We used to do a lot of bridge work and stuff, and I located him on a claim up there. And she'd been there 2 or 3 days, I guess, you know. And he was always kidding, you know. And so when I come in there, he said, Lou, he said, I'll tell you, what do you take for to marry this girl here, you know? That was the first introduction I got, you see. And of course it embarrassed her. Well, I said, I'll think it over and give you a price and so forth. Well, he said, I ain't got anything but an old white horse out here now, but he said, you can have that. You're married. Of course, he dashes off, you know, mad. So that was the way we was introduced. Well, I said, I'm a tramp. I said, if you want to take up with an old tramp, why, it's perfectly all right. But I said, don't look for any diamonds or anything. You probably have more rocks in your head. So, she took a chance.
He always took care of Mom. My mother was in a wheelchair for the last 8 years of her life, and he cared for her completely. He clothed her. They went to church every Sunday. They never stayed home.
When she passed away, I couldn't do any good just brooding, and therefore, I was feeling bad laying around all this time.
He was ready to retire, and we all thought that was right. After all, he'd worked hard all of his life, and he should have a chance like everyone else to enjoy life for a change.
Well, when I was 75 years old, I quit work temporarily. But I didn't find it very pleasant. I found laying around, you don't feel so good, you know, and it wasn't long because I was beginning to hate myself. So naturally, I went back to work. I got to work, and I felt better, felt lots better. And then May said, she wanted a house over there, and I said, all right, I suppose I better build you one. I don't try to plan ahead for several years. I got ideas of what I can do, what I should do next year and 10 years from now. It's all right to plan a house or something that'll take you 6 months or a year to build, but I mean planning a way ahead and trying to look too far ahead, because there's so many changes in the meantime that's going to change your plans. As long as we do the best of what we recognize is the best. That's the only thing I can say. I don't worry about death. I don't worry about it because it's a condition that we got to go through. And what's the use of worrying about it? There's no object in worrying about something that you can't do anything about. Out of the past, we build our future. Out of the darkness comes the dawn. Out of God's grace, we hope to seek your courage and faith to carry on.